I love I'm doing this now. If you like movies, sit down. I was trying to rhyme. A Bronx Tale. I'm gonna always be doing these movies that I just, everyone always asks me, what's your favorite movie? And I can't. I can't tell you. There's too many good movies, but I could recommend a lot of movies that are really, really good, and like I could fight for them being number one. And The Bronx Tale is one of those. It's one of those movies though. I tell people, have you seen it? And I know they're gonna say no, but I still go, you haven't seen A Bronx Tale? It's pretty nuts, man. I think his name's, I know it's Chaz, but his last name is Palminteri, I believe. Chaz Palminteri. He did a one-man show of this story. I think I wrote it down. But he did a one-man story of this as a stage play, and he played all the parts. And it was heavily influenced by his life. And the movie starts off with the character Colonial, a little boy named C, sees a murder and doesn't rat out this big crime boss. Now, I don't know how much of it's true of his own life, but I think he actually did see the murder. I don't think he played the part of, or I don't think he got into the area of he had to identify the murderer. In this movie, it means a lot to them, the big mob boss, and he takes the kid under his wing, and it's a whole story. And what was really cool is a lot of people offered to make this movie, and Chaz Palminteri was like, I'm not gonna do it unless I could play Sonny, the mobster. And people wouldn't let him. And this is like how Rocky was made. They kept offering Sylvester Stallone for his script, and he would shut down a lot of money. I think they're making a biopic about that, or yeah, I guess you call it a biopic, because he wanted to play in it. And I believe that's what happened with Chaz Palm. I think his last name's Palminteri. I always say it wrong. But Robert De Niro came to him after watching it, and he wanted to direct it. So I believe it was his directorial. It was his debut directing, and Chaz Palminteri got to be Sonny, and it deals a lot with like Chaz's upbringing. It's weird that it became a musical eventually. I don't see this as a musical, but it's weird because it's kind of a gangster movie, but it's not, because there's not a lot of shootouts. There's not a lot of like gang type scenes. It's weird. It's a gangster movie, but it's like different. It's from the point of view of this kid seeing it, but you don't really get to see nonstop violence. And there's some violence in it, but especially the time it is. I can't remember exact kind of year it is, but it's just so good. It's not like a crazy action movie or anything like that, but it really deals with Colonial having these two influential men in his life. His father, who reminds me of my dad a lot in this movie, just how he looks and dresses too, but he has this great dad that just busts his ass every day and works hard. He makes his kids stay on the stoop. He don't get involved with anyone really. And once Sonny, the mobster, takes notice of the kid for standing up for him, he starts having the kid come around, and he develops a friendship. And then there's a time jump where we see him as an adult now. Well, we'll say teenager. I think he's an adult playing a teenager, but it's really this conflict of fighting over this kid in this place where there's these gangsters and this hardworking man that's his son, and he feels like this guy's trying to take his son away from him. And in his shoes, I would be upset. And I think this scene is when
That's right, and I say no now. Just leave my son alone, please.
Hey! Don't you see how I treat that kid? I treat that kid like he's my son.
He ain't your son, he's my son.
He's what?
He's my son.
Hey, get the fuck out of here.
I'm not afraid of you.
Well, you should.
I know who you are, Sonny. I know what you're capable of, and I would never step out of line. You could ask anybody in this neighborhood who knows me. But this time you're wrong. You don't fool with a man's family. This is my son, not yours.
What are you gonna do, fight
You
me?
stay away from my
Get
son.
out of here before I give you a fucking slap.
Okay?
So what's the crazy thing about all this is this is he runs the town. He's a huge mobster. But when it comes to Robert De Niro, Lorenzo, I think his name is, something like that, his son, like, he doesn't care how big of a mobster this is. He's trying to take his son away from him. And this is when he confronts him, when he finds out his son's been hanging out at the bar that he hangs out with. And they pay him to do things there and stuff like that. It's a pretty strong scene. 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 It's a pretty strong really shows the heart of the story. The two father figures not wanting to let go of this.
Stay away from my son. Go ahead. I don't care who you are. You stay away from my son. Get out of here.
Where's my money, Dad?
I left it in there.
What? How could you do that, Dad? It was my money.
That's bad money. I don't want you to have that money.
Dad, I earned that money.
I said I want you to stay away from him. Did you hear what I said? You stay away from him.
Sonny was right. The Walker man he's a sucker, Dad. He's a sucker.
He's wrong. It don't take much strength to pull a trigger, but try and get up every morning, day after day, and work for a living. Let's see him try that. Then we'll see who's the real tough guy. The working man is the tough guy. Your father's the tough guy.
Everybody loves him, just like everybody loves you in the box. The same thing.
No, it's not the same. People don't love him. They fear him. There's a difference.
Way off. This is the same scene, I think. So that kind of like sets it up in a nutshell of what the struggle is for these, I'll say, creatures. These characters is Colonial C, the little boy. They call him C because he doesn't like calling him Colonial, the mobster, Sonny. He's seeing two different worlds as he's growing up. He sees his dad's a hardworking man that busts his ass for his family all the time, and then he has Sonny, who I guess busts his ass, but he does it differently. And he still sees them both getting love. He feels like they're both getting the same love. And I think that's a big core part of the story, is you have to understand that Colonial's learning through all this process of what this type of love means. He's just in between these worlds, and Sonny treats him like a son. He gives him confidence, makes him a little cocky, but at the same time he doesn't really like belong in the world, because he's such like a good kid. He's not supposed to be in there, and he kind of stumbles into it, and then so he kind of gets part of this world. But then when he's in scenarios like with the other mobster dudes or the kids, he feels always uncomfortable. Things scare him. He wants to hide, or something happens and he stands in the corner, or he's almost like not wanting this life. But since Sonny pulled him in, kind of, he doesn't want to let him down like you let down your dad, I guess, in a way. And it's like these two worlds are pulling him, and it's weird because Sonny's not like a typical gangster. He's like, it's just weird because he's not really written like a villain. He is like, a dangerous person. They treat him like he's dangerous, and he could be violent. But they make him very smart. He gives Colonial C a lot of life advice, and that's why I tell everybody this movie is literally all about lessons, and it's from good and bad sides. And I don't want to say bad, because I feel Sonny's not like a bad guy. That's the weird thing when you're watching the movie. You don't feel like Sonny is a bad guy, because he cares about Colonial all the time. He tells Colonial, stay in school, all this crap that a normal gangster probably wouldn't have. He tells him he doesn't want him to become another gangster and stuff. He just wants him around him, I guess. It's just like a father thing. And it sucks because you actually have a real father that cares for you and is like sad that he's getting pulled away by this other man that didn't raise you. And it's not, but to be honest, by this time, from his little kid years to his older years, he basically did raise him. So it's just one of those things, just like any dad would want a better future for their child. Sonny is that way, how Robert De Niro's character Lorenzo is. But through the movie, we learn Lorenzo's like one of the strongest characters. He stands up to Sonny, who refuses money. There's a time where Sonny's there was a time I offered you a job, you turned it down. He never fell into all of it. So he's kind of like stronger than anyone mentally. And, physically, I don't know. But mentally, he has what it takes to be like this big, big man. And after it all ends, you realize that there's a reason why he's a strong man. And it didn't take a gun to do it. It didn't take anything. It's just him standing his ground and having his morals. And I think that stood out to me a lot while watching the movie. And there's a big conversation about, it's a very pivotal part in the movie, not far as like, oh, this is an important part, but the way Sonny and C talk to each other, and how he describes like rather be loved and fear. Of course, that's a big thing that's always brought up in a lot of movies and TV shows, whatever. But this is the first time I actually really, I think, saw it captivated in a movie where it was like this big driving force of the movie, and that's the whole thing is, would you rather be fear or loved? And he asked Sonny, and because this whole time he knows Sonny and his dad are like the same. They're both good people that do good things and take care of people, and everyone loves them the same way. But when it comes down to it, Sonny says, I'd rather be feared, because when you're loved, you can't basically keep people in order, and it's almost like you're like weaker when you show love. To do what he has to do, he'd rather be feared, because he's like, being loved's nice, but being feared is better. Like he says, he gives his people enough just to get by. He was like, if I tell a joke, they all laugh. He's like, I'm not that funny. And it's true. It's not like Sonny is stupid. Sonny knows what he's doing. He's a mobster that's ahead of the game. He knows what he's doing with all these people being in charge of him, and why he makes them fear him instead of love him. And that's why he'd rather be feared than loved. And I think that kind of shakes up C a little bit, because his whole life he thought these two mentors in his life wanted to be the same thing. They want to be loved by everybody. He even said that as a little boy, like, he's loved just the same as you. And he's like, no, they don't love him. They fear him. And so this whole conversation comes back, and it comes kind of full circle from when he was a little kid. And, when you're young thinking that, I guess it's rather, it's a cool idea that everyone fears me rather than loves me, so I'm the big, bad, tough guy. But it completely changes everything when, spoiler, Sonny dies at the end, because the people around him don't like really mourn. He was just a guy that was in charge of things. They didn't like love him. He was just a dude in charge of things. And this is the funeral scene at the end, and it's really interesting. Like, some of these videos I'm gonna do about movies, I'll have clips. Some of them I'm just gonna have a clip talking about it, and then I'll get into my spiel. But let's see if the speaker's on.
Gangsters have this thing about flowers. They think whoever sends the biggest arrangement cares the most. It was just like Sonny said it would be. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Wasted talent. See you around, Sonny. Sonny and my father always said that when I get older I would understand. Well, I finally did. I learned something from these two men. I learned to give love and get love unconditionally. You just have to accept people for what they are. And I learned the greatest gift of all. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And the choices that you make will shape your life forever. But you can ask anybody from my neighborhood, and they'll just tell you, this is just another Bronx Tale.
That sound in the background, I don't think that music plays normally, because it's just it's quiet at that scene, and you hear the doo-wop singer start singing. But it's an interesting take of how it all ends, because his dad told him all the time, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. And it's a great quote, period, because it's true. I did another video talking about things that influenced me in life and pop culture and stuff, and that's one of them. And then, after the funeral and all that happens, he's seeing that Sonny was wasted talent. Sonny was a charming, understanding, intelligent man, and he put himself in the wrong place. This isn't the world for him. And he may have not known that. Maybe he thought that was his world, but he knew for sure Colonial C was not meant for it. He told C all the time, don't hang out with these guys because they're, want to be thugs. Go to school, stay in school. He helps him with his dating life. There's an awesome, it's a famous scene people talk about, the test you do on a girl. I'll let you look into that. It's not dirty or anything, but it's interesting. I don't want to take away from where I'm at right now. But, and it's crazy because you think when Lorenzo's telling C that there's the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. he could be also referring to Sonny in the same way. Like, that dude was somebody that had something that could have been somebody, and sadly, Sonny's the one that, at the end wasted himself. And he was actually, it's weird because it is a gangster movie. They consider this a gangster genre movie, but it's so much different for me, and that's why, or for people, I think that's why it stuck out with me so much, because I've seen all the gangster movies, and of course I don't really call Scarface a gangster movie. People do. It's a drug movie. It's like about a drug lord. It's not really. He's not a gangster really. He shoots a gun. Okay, does that make him a gangster? This is different. This is organized mafia. That's what I feel is gangster. But yeah. So that's why I felt really different when I watched this, and this is why it gets my seal of approval to watch it and go check it out. It's one of my favorite movies. Is I think it was a really smart piece of writing, showing the choices that all these people made, what Sonny made, and then the choices he would try to make for Colonial, and what his dad Lorenzo would try to make decisions for, and all these things. And there's a lot of lessons to learn in between. There's just a lot of stuff to deal with race, a lot of things to deal with peer pressure, all kinds of stuff that deals with coming up of age, but then having a war between your dad and this guy you look up to as a mentor. That doesn't really seem like a bad guy. It's like really, really, really heartbreaking. But yeah, and Lorenzo reminds me of my dad a lot. He probably hates that I say that, because like, he taught us right from wrong. But I think with Lorenzo, like, my dad had me when he was like 15. So like me, I have a million dreams to be all these different things. And I think at 15, he never thought about being an astronaut or a cop or anything. He just was like, I just want to be a good dad. I want to have a family. So that was my dad's goal: going to work, coming back home, having a family. And I think Lorenzo's the same way. I don't think Lorenzo wanted to be anything other than a good dad and a husband. And even with my dad, like, looked out for people. He always gave homeless people money, and something that passed on to us, like me and my siblings will do that. We'll hand out money to people. Of course, you don't want to give to the wrong people. They get drugs, but you kind of know how to eye people. And people, I don't know how many cars I pushed for people when I was a kid. My dad pulls over for every person that can't get their car started, and we did it all the time. So it's like, being this honest, genuine person is something that gets passed down through you through someone else. And for us, it was our dad with these actions. And I feel like Lorenzo would do these things and tell them these things and passing it down to him. And unfortunately, he didn't. It took until his mentor to die for him to put it all together and realize it. And it teaches you too, being the bad guy doesn't make you a tough guy. Like, doing the right thing is. And my dad was, and go back to my dad, he wasn't like overly hard on us or anything, but there was never any confusion about what was right and wrong. We knew better. My siblings never smoked, and we never drank as teenagers or anything like that. It's just how we were raised. It wasn't fear or anything like that. It was more the love side of things. But yeah, that's kind of a cool thing too. Reminds me of my dad a lot. So happy to have him around, teaching me lessons, I guess. I'm still learning. It's almost the whole thing, like, certain people like my dad are tough guys without having to show they're tough guys. And I think a lot of people see that in anybody, but I think a lot of people see it a lot in the male figures. I don't mean to be sexist, but like their fathers and grandfathers, like, just because that person isn't there instigating violence all the time or trying to brag about knocking someone else out, you could just see in these strong people that they are not afraid to back down from anything. And that was something always cool in the real world. Of course, it's cool, and it's cool in the movie, that the scene I first showed you with Lorenzo stepping up to the most powerful man in the town, because you're crossing the line and getting his kid involved in places where he doesn't want him to be. And it just speaks volumes and volumes of the character. And I think it just makes it a huge thing to like look at and understand, that no matter how tough some people are or how feared they are, sometimes it doesn't matter when it comes to someone you care about. And in that moment, Robert De Niro looks like a tough guy. He doesn't look like some puss. He doesn't look like some guy that is a push around. Like, he drives the bus through the city. Everyone probably thinks he's just a nice guy, and he talks to everybody, and everyone loves him in the town, they say. But when it came to his son, he was pretty much a tough guy. He respects him, says, I know, Sonny, I know what you can do. I know who you are. But basically, you're fucking with my son right now, and this is not cool. So there's a lot of respect that goes into that mentality of people that do think like that, and that are like that, that have that drive them to be just a good person. But when it comes down to it, you're not backing down. It's not even a slight, like, oh, I'm gonna have a little bit of toughness in me to fight this battle. It was full blown, I don't care. I know you could kill me. I know you could. He acts like he's gonna hit him. I know you could hit me. I don't care. This is my son. It's odd because this came out in '93, and I remember it's like a movie about becoming a man, and that was a big thing. And A Gangster Life was kind of like the backdrop, and you know, this kid caught between two worlds and trying to learn who earned respect, who earned fear, who earned love, and being in this world was just a whirlwind. And watching it as a younger kid, I'm sure it didn't have too much influence on what I was going to become in the world because of the whole there was no mobsters around us. But in the end of it all, it was really cool to see at the end of the whole movie that the man he wanted to become wasn't Sonny. Much as he admired him and looked up to him, it was Lorenzo. And then that makes me, again, think of my own dad. You don't want to be these guys that are trying to be flashy and show they're a tough guy. You rather the person, as he calls Lorenzo, he calls himself the working man. The working man's the, you know, he says the tough guy or whatever he is, like the real tough guy. And I think ultimately, I think Sonny admits to, like, the working man is tough. I think he does. He says something about him like waking up every day and getting up that's like harder than being what he does or something like that. But if not, I'm wrong. But I think in the ultimate, at the end, like, that's what made me take away from it. And probably why I enjoy it every single time I watch it. It's a good story to remember the people that taught you morals, and a good story to think about that people get stuck in these two worlds sometimes and they don't know which way to go. And this is a difficult one. You have two big mentors in your life, and one that you almost see as a dad, but at the end of the day, the one that was trying to, and it's weird to say because Sonny was trying to keep him on the right path too, but the one that was trying to really keep him away from all this was Lorenzo, his dad. But it's crazy because Cologeno almost dies, and the reason why he doesn't is because of Sonny. So they both treat him like a son, but when it comes down to it, one decided to live a different life, and the other one was actually his dad. And being his dad, he had to make the right sacrifices to raise his son. Unfortunately for Sonny, he didn't have him as a son, try to raise him as a son, but he would, if he cared for him like how his dad did, he would change his life. And Sonny's too far gone into that life, so he's not, and he knows that. And he kind of has that moment where he talks about he's feared, and he knows he's, like he says, they laugh when I tell a joke, but I'm not that funny. So he knows he's in this. He's playing the part. So unfortunately, Sonny was probably meant to be a dad, and a good dad, and probably would have thought just like Lorenzo. But he was raised a different way, came up a different way, wasn't gonna have kids, saw Cologeno as a little ward, and that's where you get the story. But definitely check it out. It's one of my favorite movies. It doesn't come on a lot on like channels. There's movies that I've talked about, like, oh, Nice Tale, when that comes on, I watch it because Nice Tale, like, FX will play it like all the time, or Freeform plays certain movies all the time. But Bronx Tale doesn't come on a lot, and you really got to go out there and buy like the DVD or Blu-ray or download or whatever you want to do. But if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. If you like gangster movies, but you have to understand it's a coming of age story. But you just got to think about Chaz Palminteri is a really good actor, and Robert De Niro is a really good actor, and they're basically the balance of the movie. There's not too much going on. There's actors in there, but they're not the focus of those two, besides the kid, the Cologeno. Those are the balance. That's the poster has the kid running in the middle with their two faces, and that's literally what the movie is. This kid trying to figure out who he is, and in between the two. So again, you got to separate that. You're not going to be watching, I don't want to say Scarface, but like a Goodfellas. You're not going to be watching Goodfellas or Casino or something like that. It's not going to be that way. It's coming of age, but in a world of mobsters, and it's really good. And take in consideration that this is Robert De Niro's first directing job, and that it was so good that he took it on as a job and took the risk of making it. So it gets my best there is entertainment seal of approval. Definitely check it out though, and if anyone does watch these and they do watch the movies, let me know what you think about them, if you understood where I'm coming from about it and why I thought it was so cool, and if it's something you'd recommend to other people. But yeah, that's a Bronx Tale. Just another Bronx Tale.